Hello, everybody. Welcome to Medicine and Science and the Pod TV network. I'm Nick Pallavita. I'll be one of your moderators for today's show. And today's show, we're going to be discussing COVID-19. As they would say, it's back. And so we're going as a matter of fact, one of our hosts has COVID-19. So COVID-19 is not all gone away, and it looks like it's a real problem. So we're going to bring in a real expert, a person who is board certified in internal medicine, none other than Dr. Michael Patmos. So Dr. Michael Patmos, maybe you can enlighten us a little bit on COVID-19. Everybody thinks it's gone, but it looks like it's not gone because Rick Rossner has COVID-19. So what's going on? We hear COVID's gone. Now it looks like it's not gone. Are we going to see a resurgence because people aren't getting vaccinated? It looks like this is a problem that isn't going to go away. So help us out.
Good morning, Nick. Good morning to all the viewers. Thank you again for the privilege of spending some time with you. Yes, sadly and tragically, because it's all preventable, none of this needed to happen. COVID is back. It was never gone, really. It never really went away. It subsided because we, tried very hard to do something about it, but our efforts were short-circuited, and we didn't finish the job. So COVID never left, and we are now experiencing the 11th wave. It's still early in this wave. It's just starting to kick up now, but if you look at projections of where it's going to go, we're going to end up with another COVID surge that's going to be may not be as bad as the first one, but it's probably going to be significant. It's currently right now surging mostly in the South and West. At the states you would expect to find it, the states that are Republican-led, anti-vax states like Texas and Florida and Louisiana. That's where it's surging the most. In those states, about 5 to 6% of the population are walking around, hosting the virus, reproducing it, and spreading it. Overall, in the United States, about 1 in 95 people are currently infected with COVID. That means they're hosting the virus, keeping it in their bodies, and making more of it to spread to other people. This has all happened as immunization rates have declined dramatically. The latest data that I saw is that virtually no one is planning to get immunized against COVID and get a booster. The sentiment against vaccination has gone completely down, and or the sentiment against vaccination is basically widespread now. Most everyone is just forgetting about getting vaccinated. We're experiencing about 500,000 new cases of COVID per day in the United States. 500,000 people per day getting infected and becoming factories for the virus. And we're still experiencing about 1,300 to about 2,000 deaths per week. Deaths per week, over 1,000, close to 2,000 deaths per week. The most significantly affected demographic group right now are infants under 6 months of age who are being hospitalized. Now, this is really important because all this was preventable. And what's happening is we are seeing the rejection of vaccination in general, and specifically the rejection of mRNA-based vaccination. The COVID vaccines that have been most commonly used in the United States are mRNA-based vaccines by Moderna and Pfizer. And these vaccines have been the target of false information from fraudulent experts. And interest in those vaccinations has declined to almost nothing. RFK announced the other day that the federal government is now going to suspend $500 million worth of research into messenger RNA vaccines, not just for COVID or other viruses, but messenger RNA-based vaccines against cancer, for example. 22 ongoing studies of messenger RNA technology are going to be stopped. And we're seeing the end of messenger RNA research in the United States. This mRNA research as you should recall, won the Nobel Prize. It was one of the most important innovations in the last century in medicine, probably the most important innovation in vaccine technology since Jonas Salk, and that's going away. RFK is going to defund mRNA research. Interest in messenger RNA vaccines among the public has gone down. Basically, we have killed messenger RNA vaccine technology. Now, so by decreasing immunization, by failing to immunize sufficiently, what happened is we allowed a significant segment of the American population to serve as a host. It's really important, and not many people talk. I think I'm the only one talking about this, but it's very important to understand the concept of a host reservoir. When you see a human being, I want you to put a different pair of glasses on. Instead of seeing a human being, see a factory. And every person with COVID is a factory, a COVID factory. COVID doesn't exist free in the environment. It's not sitting out there in the air. It doesn't fly on the breeze. It's not brought to you by a dog or a cat. Or a mosquito. It's hosted, maintained in other human beings who don't have sufficient immunity. So they are hosting the virus. They use their own body machinery to reproduce it, replicate it. It mutates in that person, and then they spread it to other human beings. The reason we still have COVID is because COVID has become established in a human host reservoir in the United States. The reason we have a human host reservoir is because we have a large population of under-immunized people with insufficient immunity. So we know that immunization produces high levels of humoral immunity, lasts for several months. That prevents infection. And it also produces permanent, long-lasting cell-mediated immunity, which prevents against severe disease. But you need to maintain the humoral immunity with frequent boosters in order to prevent getting infected, even with a mild or asymptomatic infection. So what's happening here is we're killing messenger RNA. We're allowing the virus to become established in a human host reservoir, and it's all based on false information. It's not based on anything that's legitimate. And where is this false information coming from? It's coming from a handful of people, one person in particular, who themselves are fake experts, fraudulent. In the last couple of weeks, I've kind of gone on a tear doing resume reviews using AI, ChatGPT in particular. It's a profoundly useful tool for reviewing someone's resume. And I've reviewed lots of resumes in the past couple of weeks. And let me just give you an example of when I talk about fake experts. Here's what I mean. I took a look at Physicians for Informed Consent. They're a very powerful organization that really has a lot of following. And I investigated all 19 of the physicians who have and are associated with the leadership of Physicians for Informed Consent. And here's what I found, reviewing their resumes. Of the 19, only one is an infectious doctor, and that doctor has no longer associated with Physicians for Informed Consent. And I can't find any evidence that the doctor ever actually was actively involved, didn't write anything, say anything, endorse anything. It may be that the doctor was just named as someone associated with it, but she's not anymore. There's the other 18, none of them were infection doctors. And oh, by the way, it's unprofessional for a doctor to opine as an expert or give advice outside their area of expertise. So we have 18 physicians at Physicians for Informed Consent who are providing information about infections, and they're not qualified to do so. That's unprofessional conduct. Now, what else did I find when I reviewed their resumes? Of the 18, 6 of them, a third, have had their licenses revoked or suspended or had other significant disciplinary actions. One lost his license because of gross negligence resulting in the death of a child. Another one lost his license for criminal sexual assault of a patient. So who is informed consent? they're supposed to be providing information and education about infectious diseases. None of the active physicians active within Physicians for Informed Consent are infectious disease doctors. It's inappropriate and unethical for them to opine about infectious diseases unless they're trained in infectious diseases. That's unethical behavior. That's unprofessional conduct. Not only that, a third of them have lost their licenses or had their licenses at least suspended, and two one involving death, gross negligence and death, the other one involving criminal sexual assault. So we have a problem, and that the leaders in the anti-vax movement, many of them are fraudulent. They have fabricated credentials, embellished resumes, exaggerated accomplishments. They've lost their licenses or don't even have licenses to lose, and they're providing false information. We have tried to debunk the information, and that hasn't worked very well. Some are saying now that we need to engage in compassionate conversation, acknowledge the concerns of people because of the information they received, and don't call it misinformation. Wait a second, we're talking about false information promoted by fake experts with fabricated credentials. That's fraud. So we have fraudsters providing false information, and we're supposed to engage with them compassionately? I don't think so. I think what we need to do is expose the fraud. And so far, besides me, I don't think anybody else has picked up on the fact that we have experts dominating the conversation, people who've been appointed into powerful positions in the federal government who are frauds. Their resumes are fabricated. Go do your own resume review using ChatGPT, and you will find resumes loaded with unverified, false information, fake appointments, faculty appointments that never existed. And this is who's controlling things right now. And so as a result of this false information, we are now killing mRNA-based vaccination, decreasing immunization overall, and we're seeing an establishment of a human host reservoir, and COVID is back. So what should you do? We need to go back to where we started, what we should have continued in the beginning. Masking. I was at I'm a Kaiser Permanente enrollee. I was at the clinic yesterday. Everybody is wearing masks. Kaiser, the smartest health system in the country, in my opinion, best run, best health system in the country. Everybody's wearing masks. So we need to return to masks. They do reduce infection, and you need to get boosted. I'm going to go this afternoon and go down to Kaiser and get my 9th COVID booster. So I recommend masking, distancing, and boosting. This surge looks like it's going to get worse. By winter, we may have a significant surge going on. We're now in the 11th wave. COVID is not gone. It was never gone. It was allowed to remain, and it has come back because we short-circuited the interventions, because we listened to fraudulent experts with fake credentials who gave false information, and then we put them in power. And that's my presentation for today.
Well, we're going to bring in our panel. We're going to bring in Rick Rosman, or actually, I believe he has come. And,
yeah, 2 weeks I've had it now. So
yeah, go on, Rick.
I've been vaxxed, boosted 10 times. I got it 2 weeks ago. Went on Paxlovid, which knocks it down. Also metformin, also reduces viral load. And I tested negative for 2 days. Then it came back, and I just tested 10 minutes ago. I'm still getting the 2 lines, which means there's still COVID junk floating around in me, which is very annoying.
It is very annoying. And, the virus is mutating. And as the longer we let it persist in the human in the human host reservoir, the more it mutates, and it mutates to be able to escape, our immune system. Now, the fortunate news is that because you've been so immunized, you're not likely to die, Rick. You're going to have this illness that allows you to still go on a podcast and sit at your desk and do things. Whereas 5 years ago, you'd have been in ICU on a ventilator. So your immune system is revving up. It's preventing the virus from killing you, but it hasn't obviously prevented you from getting a more mild disease. But even so, we still, immunization is the best defense that we have.
Yeah, good luck getting immunized in a lot of places. Like the last time I got boosted a month and a half ago, they said, "Oh, you're lucky. We only have 3 doses left."
Yeah.
The places are not being supplied with doses of booster. Also, places are not getting COVID tests, or where we've been going, various places.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the mRNA vaccines are going to go away. They're going to kill them. RFK could defund the research.
And RFK, now you talked about doctors. RFK himself is not a doctor.
Right.
He's a lawyer of sorts.
He's an environmental lawyer. He has no background in
right. Also, like a guy who was addicted to heroin for 18 years, a rapist. His second wife hanged herself to death when she found his extramarital sex diary. A terrible guy.
Yeah, totally terrible and everything. Hey, Dr. Patmos, is part of the problem that in terms of getting kits and in terms of getting things like that, because I remember even when COVID first started, one of the companies I worked for, Measurement Incorporated, which is a school testing company, actually got into the COVID assembly business there for a minute because they were trying to find something to keep us busy since the school kids weren't being tested. But we do have a lot of companies that are pharmaceutical companies that are now in, not pharmaceutical companies, but pharmaceutical type stores that are now in financial trouble. So like Walgreens and Walmart and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if that's part of the problem, as well as that some of the companies that have pharmacies in them are now in an economic freefall.
Well, healthcare, I spent the last half century in healthcare. Healthcare overall is a very low margin industry. In hospitals and health systems, half of them are in the red, operate at a loss. Those that are profitable make a very small margin, 1%, 2%, 3%. Compared to other industries like technology, healthcare is a barren wasteland of profit. There isn't enormous amount of profit in the healthcare industry, as contrary to what people might think. I mean, most health systems are operating in the red, and so I think a lot of these right now, a lot of organizations are really struggling financially. The cuts that are coming because of the big beautiful bill, cuts to Medicaid, are going to hurt health systems even more. So I think that you make a good point, Mark. But I think the biggest problem is that we have not gotten at the root cause. The root cause is fraud on the part of experts who have gone unchallenged. No one is calling out, exposing these experts for being frauds. It's one thing to have a contrarian point of view and be a valid person. I mean, if you're a valid, credentialed, legitimate expert, but you have a contrarian point of view, that's fantastic. Discuss the data. But we're talking about people who have made up credentials, that don't have the training they claim to have, that don't have the faculty appointments they claim to have had, that don't have the credentials they claim, who are providing false information. We have false prophets and false information, and no one has gone after them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
The other problem I have, Dr. Patmos, is that you're talking about 1,000 to 2,000 deaths per week in the U.S. I haven't seen media talk about that at all. It's like COVID gone. Are we really experiencing this many people? Because you're talking about 52,000, maybe 30,000 deaths a year in the United States. That's a big mortality amount. What are your thoughts on that? Why is it
somewhere along the line, the administration decided that we're just going to pretend it goes away. I remember when in 2020 Trump said it's all just going to go away. It's just like magic. It's going to go away, and sure enough, even though it didn't, he just basically, the new narrative is it's gone away. And they started referring to COVID is over, COVID is gone, the pandemic is over, masks didn't work, lockdowns didn't work, vaccination didn't work, but COVID went away because of herd immunity. The stuff that Bhattacharya and Makary spoke about, that has become the accepted narrative, and it's false.
Dr. Patmos, just really quickly, along those same lines, though, to Nick's point, there is the opposite that happens, which is that if something is increasing but is a rare case, but the numbers are rising, then the media starts focusing on that. Because one of the things that I've been seeing that the media has been focusing on, we just had a case in North Carolina, is this notion of flesh-eating bacteria. Because there was a case in North Carolina and all along those lines, but it is a rare recurrence, but it is rising. So what is your thoughts around that? Because it's so unusual, the media focuses on that, given they do talk about people like they talked here in North Carolina about a gentleman that I think bumped into some sort of metal in the sea while he was swimming and eventually died of this flesh-eating bacteria. But it's like a sensational case.
Yeah, Rick's got his hand up. I'll let him jump in. You want to?
So I just wanted to get back to the CDC and COVID. And the CDC has been forced to pull a lot of its information for the public. A month ago, 2 months ago, you used to be able to look. You said we're in the 11th wave. Every year, you get 2 waves. You get the fall wave, and then you get the Christmas wave. And we're starting into the fall wave. And you used to look at it, be able to go to the CDC site, find a chart, and track all, or at least like 9 out of. Now they've cut the chart off. Now you only get a year's worth of information, which is not much. It doesn't let you compare how bad off we are compared to previous years.
Yes.
And so we're being starved of information, starved of vaxes, starved of tests. And you talked about the frauds. There are some people, if you call them out for being frauds on Twitter, for instance, they will threaten to sue you, and in some cases will actually sue you.
Yes.
There's a woman who runs Health Nut News. Do not talk about her unless you like legal bills.
Yes.
Oh, I do. As a matter of fact, I have lawyers on retainer. So let them sit. You know, give me their names. I'll announce their problems. I'll be more than happy to announce.
You'll be making money for their lawyers. They've made a ton of. She and her husband have made a ton of money, and they love to take you to court.
Well, I love to go to court, so we'll both dance merrily, Rick. I love people that say I'm going to sue and then they sue me. I could care less. So the thing is, just give me their names, tell me what they did. I'll be more than happy to announce on Pod TV, and they can come get some. Okay? Because I don't like people like that, because they're legal bullies, and I've fought people like that for decades. To me, that's no big deal. What's very important is to get the correct information out. And on LinkedIn, you've got pretty sharp people, Dr. Michael Falk and Dr. Cox. They really put physicians for informed consent down. And so does Jocelyn. And, you know, when you look at it, you just see how bad Physicians for Informed Consent is as an organization, but also how bad their information is. And yeah, people do need to know about this, period, the end. So if you've got some health nut who thinks they're really smart and they threaten to sue, send them over, please. And I like I said, I have no problem with that. You know,
that's good.
In fact, I love, if you think Dr. Malone is one of these nuts who like litigation, bring him over here, baby. I'll talk about him. I have no problem at all. You know, in terms of flattening people like that who believe they are going to use the legal system to bully a 40-year experienced attorney.
I don't
always Supreme Court. Forget
it. Anybody's names. I'm not naming any individual. I'm saying because there's more than one person. But what I would say is that we really need. Someone in an official capacity needs to fact check and do primary source verification on the resumes of every anti-vax expert, and you will hit pay dirt if you do that. Trust me, because I've done it. I know there's fraud.
A lot of them have fraudulent resumes, fraudulent CVs, and the other thing is they're purporting things that are just absolutely not true, and that's what really gets me is that they have some really death wish to destroy the health of American citizens. You know, I don't really appreciate that, because I have to fly back to Salt Lake in a couple of weeks, and I want to get a COVID vaccine before I go, because I have no idea how the United States is going to be doing in COVID when I arrive. In other words, half the people could be infected when I go there. And I just go, I don't really appreciate that.
So back to Mark's question about flesh-eating bacteria. That's such a catchy, flesh-eating bacteria. It sounds like a horror movie. So what that is that's Streptococcus. Streptococcus is normal flora on the skin of humans, but because of the use of antibiotics, the overuse of antibiotics over the last 60, 70 years, some strains of Streptococcus have become very resistant to antibiotics and very aggressive. And so what we see now is certain strains that spread through the skin give you cellulitis, but it's so rapid and explosive, it's called flesh eating. It's just a very, very, very bad skin infection. It leads to necrotizing fasciitis. Basically, your skin just rots away in a matter of hours or days. And people do die of flesh eating bacteria. It's just a really bad strep infection with a high virulence, high resistant strain of strep.
Is this what we used to call gangrene?
Well, gangrene, in a sense, yes. Gangrene doesn't refer to the bacteria per se. It refers to necrosis. So when you have gangrene, you've got an infection in soft tissues, and the soft tissues have become necrotic, basically dead. So the tissue is dead. You can get gangrene from any number of bacterial infections, but the gangrene refers to basically death of soft tissues. The flesh-eating bacteria is a strain of strep that's extremely aggressive, and it is explosive in onset. Strep cellulitis is difficult to treat. Doctors we see strep cellulitis all the time, but when you have that particular strain of strep, it's explosive.
I think there's
called water is hot. There's hot water, Dr. Patmos. In other words, if you're in a lake, bacteria growing because of the water being.
Yeah, people like to. It's hot. It's summertime. Who doesn't want to go swimming? But when you jump in a body of water, you have to remember you're not jumping into this is not sterile saline or sterile water you're jumping into. You're jumping into a body of water that has living organisms in it, and lakes can get pretty damn warm. And when they do, there's all kinds of critters in there, including amoeba. And there have been kids who've gotten
our head of the CDC. RFK Jr. took his whole family swimming in poo water that they were told not to go into. It looks nice and clean. It's full of fecal bacteria and all sorts of other stuff, and he's just frolicking in there.
Yeah. So we live in a society now where people everybody needs to go back and take biology 101, high school biology for everybody.
Yeah, but see, the problem is the people that head up the CDC, the new administration has put in people that probably failed chemistry and biology, and they became lawyers. And the joke of lawyers is they're bad at math, they're bad at hard sciences. And I tell my group all the time, I said, then they end up going to law school. And even Rick and I did a survey of people in Congress. How many people in Congress are attorneys, Rick?
177.
How many are CPAs?
6.
How many are actuaries that know math?
0.
There we go. And then with that tells you all you need to know about Congress. There's nobody who knows math that's in Congress, and it's really bad. And then obviously we're having some serious problems in the United States because they haven't got their health group together. It bothers me because I go back and forth between the U.S. and Europe. I
want to recommend a movie that I have not seen personally because it's too horrible. It's called Cabin Fever, and it's about a group of campers who ignore flesh-eating bacteria.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah, it can be really bad. But what's really good is for the people that tune on the network, and also some of the commentators on LinkedIn, like I do like Dr. Falk and I do like Dr. Cox. They really flatten PIC. And I don't like PIC because PIC is obviously a bad organization. That's the Physician for Informed Consent. The name itself is misleading, and then you go forward and do that. But with that, we want to thank Dr. Patmos, who is board certified in internal medicine, bringing us to light the problems of COVID that you do need to know about, even though the major network doesn't seem to carry it. I just don't see this on the news right now, but it's a real problem. And we'll see you next time on Medicine and Science on the Pod TV network.
You'll be better soon, Rick. You'll be better soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Peace.